Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are joining me for the first time today. My name is Lucy and today I've created this full face of Misguided beauty, so if you do want to see the products and how they performed, then please do keep on watching. I'm not sure if you guys can tell, but I actually do have new filming lighting and it's making me really excited. Hence the fact that I'm sat down filming for you today. I did want to do a testing video at some point of these products anyway, but when my new lights came, I just thought, yep, I'm gonna put them to the test right away. So here I am and I'm filming for you now. So I'm gonna jump right into the video. Today we are gonna be testing out Misguided Beauty. These items were really kindly gifted to me by Misguided Beauty themselves. In this big box here, we have got a couple of different shades of foundation. We've got some lipstick, some brow products, a bronzer, a mascara. We've got a couple of other products, so I'm going to go through and I'm going to be testing them for you today. Let's see if they're worth the hype. I'm always a little bit skeptical when fashion brands bring out their own makeup lines because I know that a lot of brands do like to stick to their niche, and of course Misguided is classically known for clothes rather than makeup, but they have recently delved into their beauty line and I have actually seen quite a few review videos and some of the products look amazing, so I'm really excited to give them a try. I'm just reading the little leaflet that came with the products and it says that there is 148 products available and they are all vegan and cruelty free, which is incredible. 148 products is a lot. Like, I was expecting for their first drop they'd only start with maybe like 20 to 30 products, but 148 is really good. I'm also seeing that there is only 25 shades available of their foundation. Now I know that some brands do often start with a smaller shade range and then they end up expanding them. From the look of the leaflet, it looks like they have definitely catered more towards white and lighter skin tones than they have with darker complexions. As you can see, most of these shades available are sort of lighter skinned shades, and there is a couple of dark ones down at the bottom, so I will say that they do need to work on that shade range. They absolutely need to expand that so that there's more darker shades available, but for now I'm going to give these products a go and see how we get on. First things first, I have already gone ahead and just carved underneath my brows. I know it looks like they're filled in because of how dark they are at the minute, but I promise you I haven't filled them in. I've just gone in with my soap and carved underneath them as I normally would. We do actually have a brow product available from Misguided Beauty, so this is the Brow You Doing Tinted Brow Marker, which I absolutely love because I have been loving brow pens recently as opposed to pencils or pomades or powders. They have actually sent me over the shade Dark, which I don't normally go for. I normally go for something really light like the shades Taupe or Blonde, because obviously I don't want my hairs to look any darker than they already are at the minute. Here's a quick little swatch of the dark shade on the back of my hand. It is bleeding slightly. I know that's because I'm putting it on my hand and not directly on my brows, but that's a little bit concerning because I don't want it to bleed when I put it onto my brows. But I'm going to go in really lightly with this and just fill in some of these sparse areas underneath my arch of my brow bone. I hope you can kind of see the difference from this brow to this one, but I have just filled in a couple of brow strokes underneath my arch there because that's the main place that I get a little bit of sparseness underneath my brows. Good news is the product hasn't bled underneath my eyebrows, which is really good because what we want with a brow pen is for the lines to be really nice and precise. You want them to look like hair strokes, so if it's going to go and bleed underneath your brow, then it's just going to make everything look a little bit messy. But the good news is it doesn't look so far like it's done that. The nib of the pen is really super fine. I'm sure you can see it on the camera there. It's so fine, so I was able to get really nice little thin hair stroke lines, and just comparing one to the other you can see it's definitely done the job really well. Anyways, final consensus on the brow pen. Yep, perfectly fine, does what it needs to do. The tip is really nice and thin, so I was able to get nice light strokes, and yeah, it's not bleeding, it's got a really good pigmentation, and yeah, everything's looking good. The next product in my box, which I'm gonna go in with, is the Lids High Pigment Cream Eyeshadow, and this one is in the shade It's Lit. This is the shade here. It's like a coppery rust color. It's got a little bit of metallicness in there, but it's not overly shimmery, but it's not overly matte, so I'm not too sure what I'm gonna do with this. I wasn't expecting to do eyeshadow today because they didn't have any eyeshadows in this box. I'm just gonna do a little swatch on the back of my hand first. So there is the shade swatched. It actually does look a lot more sort of sheer and metallic when I put it on my hand than it does when it's in the pot. I don't have any eye primer on currently. Actually, I'm gonna go and put a little bit of eye primer on. For a cream shadow, you don't generally need to have loads of eye primer on because this acts as the primer itself. I am just gonna go on top with a little bit of concealer or something so it covers up the veins on my eyelid, and then I'm just gonna go on top with my finger and apply this cream shadow. Now, not that I do anyway, even when I'm working with powdered eyeshadows, but I'm not gonna set my eye base. The pure reason for this is because if I'm going in with a cream product on top of a dry powdered product, it's just not really gonna sit well on top of each other. So I am just gonna go on top with my finger and just pop this over my eyelids. I'm not gonna do anything precise. I'm just gonna sort of put it on there just to see the formula and the opacity. I actually quite like that the formula of these is a lot sheerer than it looks in the pot. Some people might disagree and some people might say they'd rather it come out a little bit more opaque. But for me, I don't really use cream eyeshadows anyway. So this is fine for me, especially if I was to wear it for like an everyday quick sort of fix of color on my eyelids. Okay, so there is being sheer and then there's being almost invisible. The more I blend it out, the more it's sort of disappearing, and I'm not sure if that's because I'm putting it on top of the eyeshadow base, but it's really just pretending it's not there at this point. I think what I'm gonna do is grab an eyeshadow brush and just try to blend the edges slightly. I will say that it's actually blended out quite nicely with the eyeshadow brush just over the edges. I just didn't want any harsh lines, but I don't want anything too blown out or dramatic, so I'm just ever so slightly buffing over those edges to make sure it's seamless. Whilst I'm here, I'm actually also going to take a nice little packing eyeshadow brush and I'm just going to try the cream eyeshadow with a brush as opposed to my finger. Just curious to see if it's going to pick up any better with a brush. It's still not overly opaque, but you can definitely see it actually picks up a lot better with the brush than it did with my finger. It definitely looks a lot more metallic too. It's actually quite bizarre because normally cream eyeshadows work better when you apply them with your finger than a brush, but this one seems to be the other way around. Okay, so there is the cream eyeshadow all applied. Take it as you will. I'm not personally a huge fan of cream eyeshadows. I don't really know how they're supposed to perform because I don't really use them that often, but for £9, I think it's £9, let me just double check that. For £9, I wouldn't say it's the worst thing in the world. If you're going for a really nice sort of everyday look, it is very, very quick and easy to apply. Moving on to the next product, we have the Oh High Lash Length and Definition Fiber Mascara. Now, I already have high expectations for this mascara. My good friend Erin used this mascara for the first time in her testing video, and she came into the group chat and said, oh my god guys, this mascara is incredible, and she sent a picture of her lashes in and they looked amazing. So I have really, really high expectations for this mascara. I like to keep in my comfort zone with mascaras normally. I do have so many which I've yet to try, but I often find myself always creeping back to my original favorites. ASMR. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do one eye with lash primer and curling my lashes and then applying the mascara on top, and I'm gonna do the other eye with just the mascara so you can see how it plays both ways. Whilst my lash primer dries down on this eye, I'm just going to show you the tube. It's just a plain metallic silver tube, nothing really to the packaging. It's just very, very simplistic. And the wand is actually a wand that I generally would like. I quite like the skinny ones with the small bristles as opposed to the ones with the really long, thick bristles. So I'm going to start by applying it to the side without the lash primer, and then I'm going to move on to the one with. So there is one very light coat of mascara without having curled my lashes and with no lash primer. I'm actually really impressed by this because it's made my lashes look really nice and dark and also really long. It's definitely a jet black mascara, which I absolutely love because so many of them nowadays are a wishy-washy black, which isn't exactly as dark as I would like it, but this one is definitely really, really nice and dark. Just applying a light second coat on top. I always like to rub it through the bottom of the lash all the way up to the tip, and then I like to go behind the lashes a little bit too, just to add some volume there. So there is the first two coats of the mascara done. As you can see, compared to the eye where I haven't got any yet, they've definitely made my lashes look really nice and lengthened, which is exactly what I look for in a mascara. Now I'm going to move on to the side with the lash primer. I don't find that lash primer does an awful lot, but what it does is it just means that when I go to apply the mascara on top, it just clings to the lashes a lot easier with the lash primer than it does without. I find that sometimes when I go go on top with no lash primer. The mascara just sort of slips around on my lashes and I prefer for it to sort of stick down immediately, if that makes sense. So that's the reason that I like to use lash primer. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, I'm having a little bit of an issue with clumping over on this side with the lash primer. It could well just be because of the primer underneath, but I definitely didn't have an issue with that on this side. So it probably is just to do with the primer, but I'm gonna just quickly grab a plain spoolie and just brush that through my lashes, because as you can see, they've really clumped up together at the top and we do not like that. So here is 2 coats of that mascara on either eye. Once I eventually brushed out the clumps with my spoolie, this eye is looking so much better. I also want to point out that my normal favorite mascara is the Benefit Bad Girl Bang mascara, which is actually very similar to this Missguided one in a lot of ways. The wand is very similar, it applies very similarly, it gives me a really similar effect overall. But yes, I would say this is a really nice mascara. I'm thoroughly impressed by this, especially because this mascara is only £10, which is a steal. You could find most mascaras in the drugstore for £10 that are nowhere near as good as this. So I would definitely say I'm very impressed by the High Lash mascara. And that is all I have for eye products at the minute. The rest of them I believe are face and lips. So that is it for the eye portion. I know it's probably really weird to see me with literally minimal eye makeup on, because normally my videos are crazy eyeshadow looks. So I don't actually have a primer to try from this box here. I know that they do have a primer which is called the Thirst Base Mattifying Primer, but I don't have that to try today. So what I'm going to do instead is use the Highlit liquid highlighter. This is in the shade Prinks, and I'm going to use this underneath my foundation just to give me a little bit of a glow. I'm not really one to ever use liquid highlighters. In fact, I have never gotten on with them ever. So this will definitely be interesting to see if I can ever get into this. It's like they've got maximum security protection on this thing.
A few moments later.
3 minutes later and we are in. I like the fact that it actually comes with an applicator, because normally they have like a squirty pipette to apply it with, but I actually much prefer the fact that it's got a proper applicator. Because of this applicator, you could probably also use this maybe on your eyes. It doesn't say on here whether it's eye safe, so maybe don't do that, but I'm just saying this applicator makes it look like it could potentially be used on your eyes as well. Anyways, I'm just going to apply this to all the high points of my face, just along my cheekbones, my nose, my forehead and my chin. There is quite a lot of ways you can apply a liquid highlighter. You can either apply it with a beauty blender, a brush, your fingers, you can pat it, you can smudge it. There's loads and loads of ways you could use this product. As I'm using it as a little bit more of a primer consistency today, I'm just smudging it around my face using my fingers. So on the camera you can definitely tell that there is a little bit of glow to my skin. What I'm gonna say is that in the mirror it's looking very glittery, which I personally hate from any highlighter, let alone a liquid highlighter. I highly doubt you're gonna be able to see what I'm seeing in the camera, but I hope you can kind of tell what I mean. It looks like a really glittery highlighter, which might be exactly what some people want, but for me personally, I do not like that. So there is my liquid highlighter as a primer. To be honest, it doesn't really look like it's done that much. It's added a little bit of a sheen to my skin, but not really the sort of highlighter that I would normally go for. I will also come back to the liquid highlighter when I have applied the rest of my base makeup, but for now I'm going to move on to foundation. So they have provided me with 3 different foundation shades. To be honest with you, none of them actually look like they're going to match me, because I am the palest shade of pale there is at the minute. Just for reference, I'm going to show you which ones they've given me. So this is the shade 03, then we have got 05, which is definitely going to be too yellow toned for me, and then this is the shade 02. If anything, it's definitely going to be between these two, but I'm going to go for 02 because it's the palest one. As I said, this is the Meteor Match Demi Matte Foundation, and I am not a fan of matte foundations. I know it's only Demi Matte, but sometimes you can never be too sure. I personally like to stick to foundations that are neither oily or matte. They're just sort of in the middle, but if either, I would definitely choose a dewy one over a matte foundation. I'm a little bit confused by this lid. I'm not sure if it's meant to be like used as like a squirter. I don't I don't really understand this. When you take the lid off, I've just had to peel off the little metallic film across there, and I'm assuming that you just apply it like normal to the back of your hand, but then that just makes it confusing. Doesn't this look like you'd be able to like squirt it through the top? I don't know if I'm making that up or making things awkward, but I'm just going to apply it to the back of my hand from the tube directly because I don't really see another way around it. Okay, that shade actually doesn't look too bad. It might be a little bit on the yellowy orange tone for me, but we're just going to apply it and see how we get on. I always like to go in first and just apply the foundation with my fingers, just sort of rushing it all over my skin to give a nice even distribution. To blend that out, I'm taking my favourite Nanshy Flawless Foundation F01 brush, and I'm just going to stipple that all into my skin as I normally would with any other foundation. So I'm just reading the back of the tube and it says buildable medium coverage in a Demi matte finish with radiant diamond powder pigments, long lasting and transfer proof. What the hell is diamond powder pigments? So I'm just zooming you in so you can get a little bit more of a clear sort of look of my skin before I apply another layer. I never would normally apply another layer of foundation, but because it says it's a buildable medium coverage, I'm just curious to see if it does build up to a higher coverage, because I am going to agree and say it's definitely medium at the minute. I am finding I can still see my freckles, a little bit of redness on my cheeks along here through the foundation, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I'm just saying it's definitely not a full coverage. I am seeing a lot of texture on my skin, which I don't often see with my normal foundations. It could also be the fact that I did put the liquid highlighter underneath around here, and that's what I'm seeing underneath. All in all, it's not looking terrible, but it's definitely not my favorite finish of foundation. I do like, however, that it's not looking super porcelain and plasticky. It looks very sort of natural, and it's one that I would potentially wear more of a day-to-day use rather than for my makeup glam looks. So here is 2 layers of the foundation. It's actually quite bizarre because from a distance you can tell that it's actually looking pretty glowy on my skin, which could be down to the liquid highlighter, but it could also just be the consistency of the foundation. All in all, I'm actually not hating this foundation. It looks really nice and natural. Again, it's really not overpowering or too fake looking, but yeah, I actually don't mind this at all. It's probably not one I'm going to be reaching for, but it's definitely not that bad. Unfortunately, they didn't provide me with a concealer to try, but that's okay because I have so many already that I probably don't need another one to add to the collection anyway. So I'm just going to go in with my trusty Tarte Shape Tape, and I use the shade 16N Fair Neutral. I don't actually have a new powder or any cream, bronzers or blushes to try, so I'm going to go ahead and do those steps as normal, and then I'm going to come back with you to try out the Instant Vacay bronzer. So I've just gone ahead and applied a little bit of cream contour to the perimeters of my face, and then I've just set the whole face in place with a little bit of powder. Now we are moving on to bronzer. So this is the Missguided Beauty Instant Vacay Bronze Duo Powder in the shade Light. Now I know that the packaging says it's called Light, but it looks very dark. I'm just going to check inside and, oh, that's good news. Okay, it's different. It's actually a different shade inside than the packaging makes it look. Clearly the packaging has got a little bit of a taint to it, which makes it look a little bit darker than it actually is. So I'm glad to see that, because otherwise I would have been a little bit concerned. Here is the shade Light. You've got one extra light shade, and then you've got one that's a little bit darker. I'm just going to dip between the two because I don't really see the point in using just one of them when you've got 2 available. The brush that I'm using to apply this bronzer is the Morphe E4 brush, and I'm just going to take this into my cheekbones. Okay, it's got a lot more pigment than I was expecting. Let me just grab my powder brush. So there is the bronzer applied. I'm actually really impressed with it. I thought it was going to be a little bit patchier than it actually was. It blended out really nicely, and the shade is definitely not too dark for me. It's actually the perfect bronzer shade. I've got to give it to Missguided Beauty. They are really excelling my expectations. But yes, I'm really impressed with this bronzer. This was the Instant Vacay Bronze Duo Powder in the shade Light. Before I move on, I'm just also going to give you a close-up of my skin. I still have a little bit of dryness over the tip of my nose here from the foundation, but the rest of my skin is actually looking pretty flawless. It's definitely looking a little bit more texturized than some of my other foundations make me look, but I'm not hating it because it actually makes my skin look a little bit more healthy and natural than it would if it was completely airbrushed. And it actually feels really, really nice, and it looks really flawless from the camera too. I also don't have a blusher to try from Missguided Beauty, so I'm just going to go in with a Colourpop one. This is the Colourpop Pressed Powder Blush in the shade Take the Cake. I've just remembered that I was meant to go on top of my foundation with the liquid highlighter before I put any powder products over the top, but obviously didn't. So I am going to go in with this liquid highlighter again, but on top of the powdered products, just purely to see if it's going to work. Normally I would never attempt this if I was going to wear this makeup for the rest of the day, because normally I don't have very good results doing this. For the sake of the testing video, I'm going to apply this on top of where I've just put that blusher and see how this blends out on top of the powdered products. Okay. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, you see this? Yeah, it's a no from me. This happens every single time I apply a liquid highlighter. To be fair to it, I am applying it on top of powdered products, which you normally shouldn't do, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say that is a huge no-no from me. You know what? I'm not even gonna do that to the other side. I'm just gonna leave it for now because I don't want to ruin it any more than it already looks. Even if it hadn't have stripped the foundation and all the products from underneath, there's literally no glow to it. Like, where is the shimmer? Where is the glow? Where is the highlight? Like, it's completely matte. I don't really understand what this liquid highlighter is supposed to do, but it's definitely not highlighting anything. On the back of this product, it says high pigment, buildable texture for the ultimate highlighting glow. Girl, I'm not seeing any glow on my cheeks right now. I'm just seeing stripped foundation marks and a little bit of glitter. So as far as the liquid highlighter goes, I'm gonna say that is a hard pass from me. I have been really enjoying the other products so far, but that is a definite no-no. Seeing as I don't have another highlighter product to try, I'm just gonna go in with a normal highlighter from a different brand. This one is gonna be from the Ofra Glow Up palette. I just need something on top of that stripe on my cheek just to hide it a little bit. So I'm gonna go in with the shade Rodeo Drive. So the next product that I have to try is actually a Freckle Pen, which is really interesting to come out from a brand like Missguided Beauty. There's a lot of makeup dominated brands who don't even bring out things like Freckle Pens, so it's quite a surprising product to see come from a fashion brand. This is called the Frex Appeal Freckle Pen, and I am quite fussy when it comes to my fake freckles. The only product that I really love and trust for my fake freckles is the Lottie London Freckle Tint Pen. I find that a lot of the time if you use the wrong product to create your fake freckles, they look too fake, which is definitely not what you want from a fake freckle. You want them to look still quite natural and believable. I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm a little bit terrified by this product. This looks like a permanent marker that I would have used when I was doing my arts and crafts in school in like year 4. I like the fact that the tip is super fine, but why did they need to make the rest of it that chunky? Like, that is just scary. Just for practice, I'm gonna go and do a couple of dots on the back of my hand. Now it kind of looks like I've got chia seeds all over my nose. I feel like they have the consistency almost there. If they had made this a little bit more runny, okay, maybe not runny, but like more sheer so that you can put it on and blend it out, that would be much better. But in order for it to look what natural, you have to literally dot it on your skin and then immediately blend it out, which would take you ages if you were doing them all over your face. It definitely doesn't compare to my Lottie London Freckle Tint, that's for sure. I mean, I'm not sure how it's looking for you guys on camera, but this isn't really a vibe. I'm not vibing with it. I'm sorry, I'm just not. We literally only have lip products left, so I've got 3 lip products to try and they're all different. First up, I have got the No Filler Plumping Lip Gloss, and I'm going to assume that this is just sort of a clear gloss shade because it doesn't look like it's got much color to it. Then I have got the GimMe Lip lipstick in the shade Bring the Party, which looks like a bright red shade. I'm also going to assume this is just your average sort of sheer velvet finish lipstick, because the other one that I have here is the GimMe Lip Matte, and this is in the shade Bougie, which is a nude sort of color. These are my 3 lip products. Now I'm going to go ahead and say I'm not going to go for the red shade today, purely because it won't go with my eye makeup, and also I'm not a huge red lip wearer, so I'm going to leave that and probably give that to someone who might get more use out of it. But I will give the GimMe Lip Matte a try, and then I'm going to go on top with the No Filler Plumping Gloss. So I've just gone ahead and applied a little bit of lip liner first before going in with this lipstick. I used the Morphe lip liner in the shade Honeymoon. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply this onto my lips. Okay, straight off the bat, this is not my color. I don't normally go for like a dark plum shade nude, so I don't really feel like this is a good color for me. It really smells like something. It's bringing me a really nostalgic smell and I can't put my finger on what it is. It's definitely like some sort of sweet. It's like a sweet or a candy. I cannot put my finger on what that smell is, but it smells quite nice. It's actually quite a pleasant smell to be putting on your lips, to be honest. It feels super, super lightweight. It's almost got a velvety feel to it, which is actually really nice because I hate a matte lipstick. It definitely doesn't feel or look matte yet, but I'm assuming that maybe if you were to leave it for a little while, it would dry down a little bit more matte. At the minute, I would just say it's more of your average velvet finish lipstick. It's not overly matte. It's not super sheer. It's just a really nice feeling lightweight formula. And last but not least, onto the no filler plumping gloss, which looks like so. When you open this up, it's actually got one of those like furry heads. I'm not sure how you're supposed to describe those, but you can see the one. Almost looks like a nail polish brush, and it's got the clicker on the bottom, so you just keep clicking this until the product starts to rise up to the brush. To be honest, I'm not too sure why they've chose to put a plumping gloss into an applicator like this. Normally I would just expect a gloss to come from like a normal gloss tube with a doe foot applicator. So I'm not really sure why they've done it in a pen formula. Not to mention these take ages to activate. Like I'll be sat here clicking this for at least 5 minutes. Oh, we have something. We have some gloss arising. That's good. Okay, I'm just gonna apply this to my lips. So my first thought is that it's very, very glossy looking, which I absolutely love because so many glosses nowadays just aren't that glossy. But you can definitely see right now the shine that is coming from my lips. This is definitely very, very glossy. Considering it is a plumping lip gloss, I'm not yet feeling any tingling or feeling anything from it, which normally I do straight away with a plumping gloss, but I'm gonna give it a couple of minutes to settle and see if I feel anything then. Okay, it's about 10 seconds later and I definitely can start to feel it tingle now. It's not anything overpowering just yet, unlike the ones from like Too Faced lip injection. Those are just on another planet of pain. I can definitely feel a little bit of a tingle, but as far as plumping, I'm not seeing any effects yet. So whilst I let this sit on my lips, I'm just gonna go ahead and apply the mascara to my bottom lashes because I've just realized I forgot to do that somehow. Okay, so it's been a couple more minutes. I'm gonna say it's been maybe 4 or 5 minutes now since I applied the gloss. I'm not seeing too much in the way of plumping. Let me know what you think because obviously you can probably see it more of a side-by-side comparison in the clips than I can whilst I'm watching it in the mirror. I'm not seeing my lips looking necessarily more plump, but the tingling sensation has stopped, whereas normally by now it would still be going with something a little bit more stronger. I just can't get over how glossy and shiny my lips are looking. Like this is like luxurious shine right now. In the way of plumping, I'm gonna say it's probably not the best plumper I've used, but in the way of gloss, I really like this. Like this is super shiny and super, super beautiful. So you guys, this is my finished full face of Missguided beauty products. Please let me know what you think down in the comments and if you liked any of the products in particular. Let me know if you're going to be picking up any of the products. As I say, they have 142 products available and I only had a few of them to try. All in all, I'm actually really, really thoroughly impressed with the Missguided beauty range. My skin is looking really, really flawless right now from a distance, but also it's not looking too bad up close. I just want to say another thank you to Missguided Beauty for sending me over these products to try. It's definitely changed my opinion of makeup that comes from fashion brands. I should never have been so judgmental of fashion brands that bring out beauty lines because this has definitely proved me wrong. All in all, I think that the Missguided beauty line is actually really, really nice and it's also very affordable as well. Don't forget you can also find me over on my Instagram, which is Lsgmakeup, and my TikTok, which is also Lsgmakeup. I'd love to have you come and follow my journeys over on there. Leave me a big thumbs up, a comment down below, and also subscribe to my channel if you have not already. Whoa, 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 whoa. I've just noticed my lip gloss is leaking. I have never experienced that ever from a lip gloss. It's literally dripping down the bottom of my lip. What? How bizarre. Anyways, I'm gonna leave this video here, so thank you so much again for watching and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.